It's a blockade that has lasted almost all of Donald Trump's presidency. Saudi Arabia and three of its closest partners, the United Arab Emirates, Bahrain, and Egypt, have maintained a blockade of Qatar since June of 2017. Now, with less than 3 weeks left in office, the administration has seized on a last-minute foreign policy achievement, reconciling the sides. For Washington, it involved weeks of shuttle diplomacy. The president's son-in-law and senior advisor, Jared Kushner, led a team between Riyadh and Doha to try to ease tensions between the two wealthy and strategically important U.S. allies. Kushner has a particularly close relationship with Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, and Qatar is host to the Middle Eastern headquarters of U.S. Central Command, where more than 10,000 U.S. troops are based. But Monday's official announcement came from Kuwait. It has led local mediation efforts since the blockade was first imposed.
Based on the suggestion of His Highness Sheikh Nawaf Al-Ahmad Al-Sabah, Amir of the state, an agreement has been reached for the reopening of land and sea borders between the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and the state of Qatar starting tonight.
The Saudis accuse Qatar of supporting terrorists through its financing of entities linked to Iran and the Muslim Brotherhood. Riyadh served Doha with a list of more than a dozen demands, including shuttering the Al Jazeera news network.
They have failed to present any convincing evidence on what they claim, any convincing evidence which exists proving that Qatar supports and funds terrorism.
Those demands have now been withdrawn, and Doha has suspended its legal actions against its Gulf neighbors at the World Trade Organization. Distancing Qatar from its closest Arab allies ultimately meant a turn towards Iran, including the use of its airspace. The Trump administration considered that pivot counterproductive to its maximum pressure campaign on Tehran. And while President Trump himself initially backed Saudi Arabia in the dispute, his aides urged a united front against Iran in the region. The renewed relations may very well also be a nod to the incoming U.S. administration later this month. Yasmine El-Sabawi, TRT World, Washington.
Well, for more on this, Jasim Husain joins us now from Bahrain. He's an independent researcher focusing on economic and political developments within countries of the Gulf Cooperation Council. He's also a former member of Bahrain's parliament. Welcome to the program, Jasim. Now, we've seen those very poignant images of Saudi Arabia's Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman embracing Qatar's Emir Al-Thani. This is something that was unimaginable before today. So why are we seeing this breakthrough now after 3.5 years of deep discord?
My assessment is that Saudi Arabia really needs that. Saudi Arabia needs to really reestablish its clear position within the GCC. It is head of the GCC. That's something very important. Saudis have lost that momentum for some time. I think also Mohammed bin Salman wants now to go back on the international stage, really, following all the troubles of the past few years, really. Qatar is the venue for that, by reestablishing ties with Qatar. This way, Saudis can also have good ties with Turkey, less tensions with the Muslim Brotherhood. So really, a lot of stake really here is for Saudi Arabia. The trouble is, the other three countries are not so much enthusiastic about the new push for Qatar.
Okay, interesting. Now, we know Qatar itself is quite a wealthy country, rich in both natural gas and oil resources. But if we reflect on the blockade itself, what impact has this 3.5-year boycott of Qatar had on the country's economy?
Well, it really declined the inter-GCC trade. The GCC trade is very important between the 6 states. So the blockade really has brought down to a very low level. Also coming at the most difficult times, drop in oil prices on the one hand, and COVID-19 on the other, really. So it made the GCC not much of a value. The GCC is very much an economic, really institution, really. So a lot of really losses really for the 6 countries. Drop in air traffic, the travel between the people really from the GCC. Normally, Qataris are very important visitors to the UAE, especially Dubai during the weekend, really. So I really think really the four countries together have lost more than Qatar, and that's why they have made this drive to bring back Qatar into defaulthood.
Interesting. Now, we know Saudi Arabia and its allies decided to blockade Qatar in the first place, accusing it of supporting terrorism and of having too closer ties with Iran. These are allegations that Doha has always denied, but was there ever any legitimate reason for Saudi Arabia and those other countries to punish Qatar in the first place?
I think it was wrong, really. I mean, there were some issues between the two sides, really, but they could have really resolved them through discussions inside the GCC. But the blockade was something extraordinary. In fact, it came also during the fasting month of Ramadan, which was something very abnormal, really, because this is the month, really, when we have to strengthen ties rather than go the other way around, really. I think after these 3.5 years, all sides have learned, really, it's better for all to come together. But I still really fear we could see some sort of a Cold War, a Cold War between the UAE and Qatar, Cold War between Bahrain and Qatar. I think the problem is over with Saudi Arabia, but possibly not with the others.
Okay, well, let's see how these countries decide to execute the agreement they've just signed in Saudi Arabia. Jasim Husain, thank you so much again for joining us on the program.